Bam! What is up with the squad? It's Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies. Y'all know what it is. It's the second episode. PoliSports Tea. Y'all know what it is. I'm here with my co-host. Hey, she don't hold you up. She don't hold her tongue. Political Lil in the building. What's good? What's good? What's good?
Hey, let's rock and roll. You know, we got to look out for our girl. Angel Reese, phenomenon.
WNBA season is upon us, so I thought this would be a good time to have this conversation, right? So y'all know we dropped Under Siege, the battle against Black women's independence, the burden and strength of 2025. The concept, the conversation, it's been coming. Queen K, what's good? Let's take it all the way back. Angel has been called what? Classless now? She been everything? Right? What else? What else do y'all want from her? What else do they want from her, Leo? Let's go. Let's run it down.
It appears that they, want her to disappear. But that's not going to happen. She's it's just an unyielding social media campaign against Angel Reese. And it's really a battle over race, politics, and power in women's sports. And so this young lady has amassed a great deal of influence that has turned into power. She's a special brand, and she's a blueprint for the future. And so that constitutes her being a threat to the power structure, who is committed to, the politics of control. They want to control everything to include other human beings. And that's just something that the country's been built on. They still want to treat these Black men and women as if they were property. Matter of fact, they're property. And so this is why you get all of these this confusion. So any athlete, especially a Black female athlete, that steps out the box or begins to operate in their power unapologetically, they become the target of a systemic and systematic, almost a military style attack. And this is what is going on with Angel Reese. She's on a battlefield. Women's sports has become a battlefield now.
Wow.
And that shouldn't be, but because sports reflects, the issues of the society and the political climate of our times, women's sports has become a battleground. And so as the athletes battle for their freedom, autonomy, and agency, you have the power structure pushing back in order to be the decision makers over who gets to be successful, create wealth, and so you're gonna have an incredible conflict.
Well, listen, and I see you in the chat saying, "What does Black have to do with it? We're all equal." Not in the politics of it all, but sit back. We'll break it down for you. See, let's talk about Angel's meteoric rise. Like, so from a college phenom to a top WNBA draft pick, she dominated the court and made sure you knew it, right? But with success came, I think, a tidal wave of backlash, right? Why do you think her stardom triggered such a heated response?
Because Angel Reese is young, Black, unapologetically confident, and she refuses to conform. And so the initiation of the backlash came from the style in which she chose to celebrate her national championship over what happened to be an all-white, predominantly white team, and she was playing for a predominantly Black team. Now, so you're gonna have lenses coming from different directions, and usually in the white people have been indoctrinated to believe that they are superior. So when you are superior, then anybody below you, and that's any non-white, they're never supposed to supersede you in anything. So when these things happen, or a black athlete dispels the myth that they're inferior, you get this what Carol Anderson calls, just this backlash. And it doesn't only happen in sports. We've seen it happen in politics when Barack Obama ascended to the presidency. The people almost lost their mind. We've seen it happen, on the golf course. Serena Williams in tennis. Any space that wasn't designed for you to be in, and there's not a space on the planet evidently was designed for us to be in, and you are given the opportunity to get into the space and excel, and you usually invited into the space. Then they want to be able to just exploit you, and then you just perform like you picking cotton on the plantation, and you don't have any agency or autonomy to do anything for yourself. So when you have these players coming out dominating in their respective sports, some of these fans that are so conservative that they indoctrinated into the old way of thinking, they just lose their mind, and then they feel like, okay, we at war now, and it's time to pull out the attack guns, and they attack you, all kind of ways.
So, and let's okay. Let me say a few things. I feel like it's unfortunate that we have and race and politics come into everything that we deal with. I hate that it comes into sports because it should be the most racially free, the most politically free space that we have operated. The best should be able to come in, display their talent, and win. That's not in a perfect world. That's how it works. We're not in a perfect world, right? We had people that were genuinely Angel Reese fans. We have people that were genuinely Caitlin Clark fans. We saw the "you can't see me" ring me gesture start the backlash. But who were the main players that were fueling the backlash? Because it was online, it was in the media, but it wasn't everybody, right? So who were those main players that were fueling this backlash?
Well, really, it started with, and I'm not on X, so I can't really speak for X, but Keith Olbermann, David Portnoy, they came out after the championship using this inflammatory language, calling the young lady names, and then conservative outlets like Fox News and ESPN, there's certain commentators on ESPN, they amplified the outrage, framing her actions as unsportsmanlike rather than just, celebratory. And then, of course, you had the double standard because when Caitlin was celebrating, throwing up the shirt and you can't see me, even if it was revealed later to be to the manager, that was not the way it was edited on television. And she fiery, she competitive, she here to let you know she present and this, that, and the other. Then when she gets smoked, because that was a smoking, it was a smoking. And somebody do it to her, and then here come the white girl tears, and all of a sudden you're being mean. What are you doing to Miss Daisy? How dare you do this to Miss Ann? Gal, you too big for your bridges, and all this kind of carrying on, like we back on the plantation, actually. And so Keith Olbermann, large following. David Portnoy, I believe he the one that owned a Barstool Sports Group.
Okay.
These are white men that have a lot of money and influence. And so they began to fire to tear this young lady down and to me, begin to organize a campaign against her to totally discredit her, to make her miserable, to silence her. Because after the championship, she became loud in terms of endorsements, swimsuit issue on magazine covers, get endorsement and stuff like that. And they have, over these last 2 years, made a concerted effort with plenty of people joining in to try to trash this young woman in order to destroy her confidence, to silence her, and to diminish completely her influence, especially over Black women that are coming behind her. Because this young lady,
Why do you think? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm saying she's creating a blueprint for not just becoming rich while she's performing, but to create generational wealth. And this country has always used every weapon, mechanism, political policy, uh, anything that they could do to ensure that Blacks never created wealth. That was one thing they never wanted us to become a part of the economy of this nation, as this nation was, beginning to prosper, and by any means necessary. I remember back in the 1600s, they said that Blacks would never enjoy the fruits of white society, and I mean they have been trying to keep their word ever since. And so
Hey, I think the crazy part about Angel's blueprint is it doesn't have to just be for a Black person or a white person, for a male or a female. It's a blueprint to success, to generational wealth, right? They bombed Black Wall Street. I see you saying Jason Sudeikis, who was a huge Caitlyn fan. It's crazy how some Black men are the one who insult Angel Reese the most and continue to. I'm 70 and you speaking truth. What is it about Angel's confidence that's so threatening, though? What is it? What is it? Why are they so threatened by Angel's confidence?
Because she doesn't just play the game; she owns her image. Now, if you if you go back historically, you're thinking about slavery, and you think about the fact that people owned other people. People owned your labor. They owned your image. They owned your name. They owned your likeness. And I mean, they had Black women not only out there in the field, but in the brothels. They would rent you out. Just all kinds of stuff. So she's not with an agency. She doesn't have a middleman.
She got her own team. She's got her own team.
She got her own team, and they cannot fathom, or they just cannot deal with the fact that she owns her own image, and they don't have a way to totally exploit her. And that to me seems to be the problem, because if they can't exploit you, if they can't use your labor to feed some white family, it's a problem, and they don't want you in the space benefiting unless they benefiting off of you. So that's kind of what she's a threat, and then the fact that she's in real time creating a blueprint at these other young ladies. And I've heard some high school, a couple of young ladies that's coming to LSU talk about her blueprint. They don't want that, because even they seem to have more control. They have more means to control Black males in this society in terms of how they can match you up with a woman, where that money goes from you back to the woman, back through kids, this, that, and the other. The threat is that most likely Black women who put up the most resistance, what's going to happen if they take that money and start investing in the Black community, giving us access to capital? Flaw J teaching, going around teaching financial literacy. Angel handling a Goldman Sachs $10 million investment fund to invest in Black women business. Black women going to take their money and do the same thing they've been doing, and that's take care of Black families. And if you building Black families, you definitely going to be a threat, because that's not what they want. They want total control. It's something they just cannot live without. That's part of the hierarchy's DNA. And if they can't have it, then it's panic mode. It's all out war. They'll fight you to the death to maintain control. And even in death, I remember they used to sell black bodies to universities for science.
Mm.
So they want to control, and I don't know, that's just something that started, in colonial times, and they haven't let up, you know.
And let me be clear. I'm not advocating for investing in black just because it's black. But that's not what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for investing in black because it's quality. Uh, because it's resourceful. Because it's consistent. Because it's what we needed, right? Not just because I heard somebody talking about it today. We can't just be invested in black just because it's black, right? We also have to meet a standard as black businesses, as black entrepreneurs, as black builders of wealth. Like there's a standard that we have to meet and hold ourselves to and be accountable. Too many times we see black businesses open and it's good the first week, right? Everybody feeling good, then a couple checks hit and the cooks don't want to show up and the portions don't. Come on now, let's have a real conversation. Let's have a real conversation. And the portions that fell off, and the personal business that leaked into the business, and you know who dating who and all that. Thank you. It was Wallow for $1 million worth of game. Thank you, Jeremy. That is exactly who I heard talking about that this week. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
there's still a standard that we have to meet, and so as we build these blueprints, right, and uh we start to carve out these buckets of wealth when we're investing back to be able to grow and investing back into businesses and into people that look like us. Make sure we hold them to a standard. Thank you, Jeremy. That was exactly who it was from $1 million worth of game. Yeah, we got to make sure that we holding each other to a standard. But I wanted to ask, what does Angel's journey say about the future of NIL deals and media power for women in sports? What do y'all think in the chat about that? What does her journey say about her and the people coming after her? Let's talk a little bit about white rage and the weaponization of backlash. Carol Anderson describes white rage as a calculated response to black advancement, right? Not as violence, but as policy and narrative sabotage. How does Angel Reese's rise trigger this kind of response, Lil?
Well, Angel's visibility and financial success represents black excellence without apology. And then White Ray shows up to attempt to diminish her character, question her intelligence, and delegitimize her wins. Um, that's a it's just a standard reaction to anybody, any type of major black success. I don't care what field it's in. You think about the young lady uh that came with the fund. I think she was a what was it, a capital investment fund. I mean, I never seen so many. I mean, somebody took this woman to court trying
Mm-hmm.
to say she was discriminating against white males, and I'm like, you got to be joking. They have had access to capital since this country was born. To sit up there and say that a small fund. I mean, she wasn't. It wasn't what $10 million, maybe. That's gonna disrupt anything white males are doing. That was preposterous. But it just seems that I don't, if too many people of color or too many people black having a little success at the same time, oh, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna lose our country. Uh, it's over with for us. They're trying to erase us. I mean, it's so minor that it's preposterous to even think that. And
And why does it have to be an erasure? Why does it? And that's the thing. Why does it always have to be? Why does it always the perspective looked at as erasing something instead of adding to something? Why does it always have to be taken away instead of adding to the story? No, we're not taking anything out of the story. We're just adding another perspective of what's actually taking place out here. I don't understand why. I don't know. I don't understand why as a society, as smart and as advanced as we are, we seem to have such a big problem with the fact that two things can be true. Like two things
Mm-hmm.
can be true. Caitlin Clark can be a very good basketball player that's bringing eyes to the WNBA. And Angel Reese could also be a very, very good basketball player that's bringing eyes to the WNBA. They don't have to be pit against each other. They don't have to. They can exist together. But what's the deeper message behind that backlash? Not just about Angel, but what she represents. I think.
Well, she disrupts the long held control over who gets to be celebrated in women's sports. Her confidence, her blackness, her femininity, all of that upends the narrative that success must look and sound a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to the question you were asking. If you are a society built on white superiority and
Mm-hmm.
black inferiority, and that's your brand, because that's your global brand. That's how you put out to the world. Then you have to be in a position of always keeping your foot on the neck of those you feel are below you. So when they come up to some equal standard, as you call it, or if they meet the so-called standards you put up,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to make it appear as if no, they not meeting the standard. That's why you always get this controversy over, well, Caitlin can shoot and she can do this and that and the other, without them respecting the fact that this girl is a prolific rebounder. They want to make
Mm-hmm.
that not important,
Mm-hmm.
because she's able to exceed a standard they set. And this is kind of why you get that. It's just part of a ongoing strategy to keep everybody below you here and everybody below.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you sell it to the world.
Well, a rebranding is needed. It sound like, and you talk
They
about
gonna they
strategy
about
and
to get a rebranding.
yeah, rebranding is needed. And we talking about white rage, and it doesn't scream as strategizers, right? And
Mhm.
so in Angel's case, give me some examples of kind of where we see the strategy of this rage taking place.
It comes out in how the media frames her. Framing her as aggressive, and how critics amplify moments to paint her as ungrateful or arrogant. And then how they try to pressure brands into disassociating from her. It's subtle sabotage, but it's disguised as some kind of moral outrage.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's doing something, that's destroying the game. That's the way they've been putting it. Oh, that's bad for the game. What's bad for the game? Long as she not being quiet and sitting in the corner, and you come on out here and let us exploit you, but then we want you to hush. And that's the kind of message that's being sent to her, by the fact that they're pulverizing her, and it's just a continuous, beat down to everything she do. They try to, measure it against some standard, or they move the goalposts, or you know, uh, no, I mean, I don't know of any basketball player, pro or amateur, that hasn't, missed layups, missed shots. This is why you
Mm-hmm.
have percentages. Even
Of
in
course.
baseball, nobody bets 1,000. If you hit 3 out of 10, you smoking. You one of the highest players out there. But that's the way. That's because of the way the society is set up, has been operating, and they have indoctrinated their public, uh, to believe these things. And so anytime you got somebody meeting a standard, even that they set, then they go, they breaking out the pencil eraser. You know.
Um, I'm not sure. I is I went 15 minutes back. Political, you are dead wrong. With all white team versus all black team in sports, everyone knows, including white people, that majority of black people are superior athletes. I don't, I don't know really what the comment is saying. You want to
No,
address that? I
I'm
don't know.
he talking about the fact that I said Iowa was a predominantly white team. If that's not true, then I'm colorblind. And I said that LSU was a predominantly black team.
Black team. Mm-hmm.
And this is why I think that moment in time was polarizing. Because
Mm-hmm.
you had one definitive side, you had the other
Well,
definitive side.
especially for the first time in women's basketball, they definitely, it didn't even have to be, but it seemed like they wanted to make it a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type moment. They wanted to take it back to that. You saw it in the way that it was covered, in the way that it
Mhm.
was talked about, in the way that it was framed, in the narrative that was pushed around it. Right, that's what they wanted it to be. And it totally didn't have to be that. It could have just been two really competitive players, especially since these are two players who've been playing against each other for years. They've been knowing each other. They've been playing
Yeah.
against each other since the AAU team, right? So there, there, there was no beef. It hadn't been no beef. It had just only been competition. And I guess in this society too, we find it that it's much more acceptable to have competitive men versus competitive women. Um, let's
Yeah,
see,
but
or even how. Yeah,
you
go ahead.
got to understand that in the Larry Bird Magic thing, that racial
Mm-hmm.
tension was just as strong, but it wasn't just as broadcast. We didn't have social media then.
But it was
You know,
real though. That was at
it
a
was
time when racial tension was still it was still in our face and talked about. Right, it was a different type of racial tension. And it almost
mhm,
seemed like they tried to dial it back to that type of racial tension instead of dealing with it in a way that addresses the because racism is still out there. It's just it's in our face, but not so loud, right?
mhm.
Uh, it's in the micro. It's more in the microaggressions than anything else that we see. I think right now, especially in sports. So it could have been used to address totally different things. To me, the way it was carried, the way it was covered, to me, just set us back. It just set
Mhm.
us back. Um, or even how people like Angel or Kennedy will almost get sent straight to WNBA purgatory for trash talk or pushes, but CC or Mayberry will do the exact same thing. And they call it toughness. Yeah, toughness, competitiveness. They
Grit,
fiery. Yeah, grit. Um,
grit and grind.
and CC is extremely good, but statistically not the best. Just going on numbers. I'm a data person. Asia Wilson right now is the best in the WNBA. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about that, CC has growing to do. She's a rookie. She's gonna be, she's still at a very, 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 very um early part of her journey. Asia's much, much further longer journey, and I don't even know why they compare those two. But why is the rise of black women in college and pro hoops like Angel Reese, Dawn Staley, and others looked at as so disruptive to the system?
Because it challenges the historical gatekeeping that goes on in sport. The culture, economic, and media capital is shifting. And for some, the loss of control feels like a threat rather than progress. You know, you think about Unrivaled,
Mm-hmm.
setting up a new equity model for the players to, have ownership in the league they're participating in. That's got quite a few people flipping on their head because they
Mm-hmm.
want that labor owner labor. They act like they're gonna fall out if I make money with you instead of making money off you. And that's not the case. You can make money with a person. You don't have to stay in a pimp mentality, you know, just because you creating a space, but if you have something built on that and that's all
Mm-hmm.
you come to know, and
Mm-hmm.
your mind doesn't open, up to the possibility of allowing someone else to gain wealth off their own labor, then you're gonna run into a problem because that's what the problem is. Black labor has created white wealth, and they do not
Mm-hmm.
want that to change under any circumstance. And the culture is shifted, or at least trying to do a shift. But as soon as it's all out war, if the labor simply asks to be compensated for what for what they worth. I mean, you still making 3-4 times the amount of money off the labor, but you want the labor to be dependent on you while they
Mhm.
can perform and then pour the rest of their life. That's the desire of these gatekeepers in sports and everywhere else in the work world.
Mhm.
You know.
And and Tom Burrell writes that black inferiority is a marketing campaign, right? Not a reality, but a construct sold to the public over generations. How does that show up in how Angel Reese is being portrayed?
Angel Reese is treated like she doesn't belong on top. She's treated like her confidence is pathological. Her femininity is dismissed, and her power is framed as a threat.
Hmm.
But see, that's the myth of inferiority, doing what it was designed to do: suppress and distort black excellence. And it goes back to what I was just talking about in terms of their desire to subjugate the labor. That's because I don't know, it's just like relationships. Sometimes when you start a relationship one way, it's just gonna go that way. And the person don't want to change because they
You've
adapted
allowed it for
how
so long.
yeah, if you let it go on, they slap you upside the head or taking your money or you giving them money and providing them this and providing them that. The minute you tell them to step to the plate and do something, they go haywire. Now it's time
Yeah.
to maximize control by, beating you or fisting you into the ground. You
Hmm.
know, so they have in this country, our elite has a ideology that black labor is to be exploited and nothing else. And that's from cradle to grave. And that's the way they feel. I don't think unless you have a all out revolution, I don't see that mindset. That's ingrained in them. It just passed from
And
generation to
that's what I was gonna
generation.
ask. How do you start to push back on that narrative? How do you? I mean, because you see stuff. You see, okay, so you see like a Nafisa Collier and a Brianna Stewart and their partners, Nafisa's husband, Brianna Stewart's partner, whoever else is involved, right? You see, leagues like Unrivaled popping up, right? So you see people with a different mindset. You see
Mm-hmm.
people that want to see things go differently. Um, but besides Unrivaled, what are some other opportunities or ways that we can push back on that narrative or push back against the exploitation of black and brown labor?
Just doing stuff that like Serena doing, coming up with that venture capital fund where
Hmm.
60% of her investment is in women of color businesses.
Hmm.
Because the main thing that holds their position is access to capital. Because you can't do
Hmm.
anything in a capitalist system if you don't have access to capital. You had the greatest brain idea for starting a business or starting, an industry or building something or building that. You have to have access to capital. And as long as you could keep capital out of the hands of non-whites, you can maximize control and have them always be the employee instead of employer. The biggest threat with you think about Collier and them and Unrivaled, they are employers. They were able to employ refs,
Hmm.
employ a commissioner,
Right.
employ personnel who built the building.
Hmm.
You know,
Created jobs.
right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. And so they up in the employer class. In
Hmm.
terms of the league they're building, and so that's something that's that's gonna be a hard fight. I don't doubt right now that the WNBA and the NBA, and this is alleged because of course I'm not in the room, but don't think they're not trying to find a way to control that situation because
The Unrivaled.
the unrivaled situation.
Hmm.
They gonna they already partnered with the Players Association.
Hmm.
They not partners with the they approved, so to speak, by the WNBA, but they're not partnering with them
Mm-hmm.
officially.
Right.
But they're gonna try to find some way to make sure that don't spread. That whole ideology. I cannot wait to see how this CBA falls out. Because I really
Oh,
think the
I'm watching
players
that closely.
they're gonna ask for equity, and that's gonna be a hard fight.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to talk about it. Yeah, everybody run them likes up for us. Run them likes up for us. Burrell also says that you're not born thinking unless you're taught that. How has the media and fan culture tried to teach that to Angel?
Through means of using the media. See, the media is a weapon. It's a weapon of the people who are in control, because they control the media, and what they do is if you can constantly belittle, constantly criticize, erase the accomplishments, frame her as a problem rather than a pioneer, talk about what she doesn't do, this, that, and the other. If you could tear her mental down, and make her an outcast, and and these are the things they do. You badmouth somebody to little children,
Mm-hmm.
if you naturally allow a child to interact with somebody, they'll tell you right away whether they like them or not. You got a lot of young kids that, like, you shame the kid. Why you like Angel Reese? We're not, you sitting at the dinner table poisoning the person's mind,
Mm-hmm.
against her, stuff like that. I mean, it's all kind of little tactics and mechanisms that they use. Once you can poison the perception of the public, then they're gonna pass that poison off to their children. You have cousins, discussing in this, that, the other. Don't wear her t-shirts. You see people wearing Angel t-shirts, and somebody drive by, call you out your name. Just little.
That's how they acting in the streets. They yelling at you out the Cabo Angel gear. Oh goodness gracious!
I mean, they take it there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many. When they have this Indiana Fever versus Sky game, especially if it's in Indianapolis. I don't think you'll see a lot of Angel fans walking in there sporting their t-shirts without thinking, when they get outside, these people gonna act up, especially if they come out without a victory. I mean, these are little things they'll do short of stringing you up. That's just how impassionate some of this racism is out here.
Oh, Oscar T. Davis, Angel haven't supposedly did anything new. We just having a conversation around Angel and her power, and her stardom. And I saw a post today, and I want to say that Angel had like 1.7 more million followers than Caitlyn, and I don't know how many more than Paige. It was a. If anybody else saw it, remind me what those numbers were and who all was up there. I want to say it was Inescu, it was Asia, it was Angel, and Angel's at the top of the list with the most followers. She's putting eyes on everything that she does. So I don't understand. I don't understand, just even from a business standpoint, right? With From a business standpoint, from bottom line, why she's not being respected as a real partner, as a real player in the game, as far as being able to bring money to the table. Look at what she did for Unrivaled. A lot of those things don't happen without Angel's influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
There and I'm sure that Unrivaled would have made some deals in some other areas, but she brought Sephora. Y'all remind me of the other brand that she brought to the table with them. Um, Even with the disrespect, the downplaying of her excellence. So we just saw the commercial over the weekend. The champions commercial. The WNBA is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
The players commercial, and they showing players, with the work that they putting in, getting ready, and we get the Angel part, and they show Angel like she ain't doing nothing but TikToking and something, taking pictures and all of that. They didn't show no highlights of her hooping last season. But this is somebody who named, like I told y'all, was in the same conversation with Candace Parker and Asia Wilson because of what she was doing on the court. She was almost the number one rebounder in the league last year as a rookie.
And only got beat out by 6 rebounds, and Aja had six extra games to get them rebounds. You know,
like
that's amazing in itself.
Asia told y'all coming into the league that Angel had a knack for rebounds, and she was going to carve out a spot in the WNBA from that foundation and whatever she built on top of that. And she's taking that challenge and is building on top of it, like self-made, self-built, keep working, everything that you want somebody to be when they are in pursuit of excellence and in pursuit of success. The key to showing you everything that you should be at a young age. What is Angel? 22.
Mm-hmm.
At 22, think about. I wasn't doing all this at 22. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. Okay. I wasn't even doing this at 22. So to see her out here doing this at 22, to see Flau'jae doing what she's doing, to see Raven doing what she's doing, Bree Hall, Cody McMahon, all of these ladies in their own right out here, Rakia Jackson carving out their brands. Deja Kelly, she didn't even get drafted, but she's been invited, I believe, to I believe, to training camp, and then has also carved out some opportunities for her to be able to fall back on. So
yeah, as an ESPN commentator, I think she was
absolutely
what shadowing someone or getting some development and training as a commentator. Yeah.
So I just don't know. What else y'all want from that kid? Cameron Brink said that Angel needs to put out a masterclass on rebounding. Cam said it in her podcast. I mean, come on. Okay, if Cam put it out on her podcast, if Cam do a masterclass on blocking and Angel do a masterclass on rebounding, that's great. That's great content out there from both of them. To me, it just seems like these younger people are wanting to partner more. They're wanting to look past color more. They're wanting to just get down to who I want to do business with. And why don't we just why can't we just buy into that? That's the part I don't get. Why y'all making it so hard? We want to work together. Everybody just get the heck out the way. Everybody just get out the way. Crazy thing is, player respect players. It's the fans. It ain't even just the fans. And that's the other thing. It ain't even just the fans. I am Zoe Media in the building. I got hit you with the shoulders, fam. I appreciate the super sticker. Where that sound of money at? Let's go. Yeah, let's go. The support, fam. Yeah, let's keep cooking. Okay, and then let's talk about the CC fans, because I don't even think it's CC fans, right? I think so. Let's be clear. Caitlin Clark has fans that are here to cheer on Caitlin, that are here to cheer on Indiana Fever, that are here to see Caitlin and her team do well. And then we got people in the building that are acting like Caitlin fans, to be able to push narratives. So it don't have anything to do with Caitlin. The challenge that we have with Caitlin is that she's not pushing back as much as I feel like she needs to against these narratives and saying that this isn't me, and allowing her name to be kind of used any kind of way her handlers feel like it should be used, instead of how Caitlin feels it should be used. So I wish Caitlin would the hell say something so we would know what Caitlin think, but that's another topic. That's another conversation. Angel has more respect amongst her peers. You was finna say something, Lil?
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw something interesting on Trill's channel the other day. He pulled up a chart of the Google Trends data search, and it revealed that the number 100% of searches initiated about Angel Reese come out of the state of Iowa. Only 90% come out of Louisiana, Maryland, where she's from, Illinois, 65% where she plays, and Mississippi, where she has a lot of influence.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's them initiating, the negativity in the online, search in terms of they trying to find out what she doing, looking up every statistic, this, that, and the other. But then they claim they're not interested, but I can't tell. And it starts right in the Cedar Rapids area, where that university is located. Now, when you look at Caitlin Clark's Google trend search data, it makes sense that 100% of people inquiring about her will come out of Iowa, Indiana, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Nebraska, because those are the the states that are kind of our Midwest rural type states. But her fans are being unreasonable in that they. And I'm not saying all of them are doing, starting a negative search to be negative.
Right.
But you can't convince me that there's a necessity for 100% of Google searches about Angel Reese to start in the state of Iowa. But she has no connection to Iowa other than they played them twice in college. So this scorched earth campaign against her, trying to destroy her and bring her down and making her a constant subject of exploitation, because she's being exploited. No question about it. Anytime somebody can't pay their bills, they jumping up with a Angel Reese did this and Angel Reese did that. I'm surprised I haven't heard nothing. She just purchased a new home.
Oh, it's coming.
In the area. I have, I'm waiting for the fallout.
It's coming.
Which is crazy. So
it's coming. And I see somebody in the chat now talking about her cheek is always out. She doing it to herself. Focus on the wrong thing. She can wear whatever she want to wear. Why do y'all care? Y'all get too caught up in it.
Ask the person in the chat, did he see the other ball player cheeks and ass out with the truck commercial?
Oh yeah.
Was that she was bringing attention to herself, but you got to target in on her. See, this is the nonsense I'm talking about.
But here's the thing: when we get down to marketing and selling items, sex sells, but the little girls are watching. Sure, they are. But see, here's
watching them too.
Here's the thing. Here's my problem with that. Here's my problem with that. Angel Reese doesn't have a responsibility for the little girls that are watching, in the sense that the parents are supposed to be policing what the little girls are watching. So if your little girl is watching stuff that's inappropriate, that's not on Angel Reese. That's on whoever the hell gave the little girl the opportunity to be able to watch the stuff she shouldn't have been watching. Angel Reese is a grown-up. She is an adult. When you go back and you look at Angel Reese as a little kid, she wasn't looking inappropriate. She wasn't doing inappropriate things. She was at school trying to get an education, trying to be a ball player. So I don't want to hear nothing about the little girls is watching. If the little girls is watching something that they shouldn't be watching, and talk to their parents. See, everybody need to take care of their house. Now, when I see Angel Reese get with little girls, what I see her do is take her time and acknowledge them, let them know that they're seen. Take her time to make sure that she takes pictures with them. Take her time to ask questions with them. Take her time to make sure that they know that they can be anything that they want to be. So all while her cheeks is out and all that you talk about all of the other stuff that she does to empower young girls. Because if you're gonna try to just box Angel Reese into her cheeks all the way out, how you missing all the hell of what Angel Reese was? She was at the Met Gala. I said she done brought brand deals to Unrivaled. She done brought brand deals to the Chicago Sky.
She made to the WNBA.
To the WNBA, she's become an owner. She's become a team owner. Come on now. Let's talk about the blueprint for real. Y'all always want to try to box somebody down into one little thing. She's way more than her ass cheeks being out, and her ass cheeks ain't out that much.
It was out one time, and they had a fit.
And the thing is, if all you seeing is her ass cheeks out, then that's because that's all the fuck you going to look at is her ass cheeks being out. Look her up for real. Google her and see who she really is. See, I don't want to have no real conversation. Here we go. Let's go. Who want to talk for real? Let's go. I'm here for the conversation today. I am here for the conversation today. But I'm not gonna let y'all put that jacket on Angel Reese that she just somebody who ass cheeks all the way, always out. Stop it. That girl, like you said, she done retired her mother and bought her a house. Gave the Chicago Sky a deal. Let's go. I'm here for it. Let's go. Get it. Put it in the chat. Drop your receipts in the chat. Because I said she way more than that. In the meantime, Political Lil, what tools is the system using to suppress those that it can't contain?
The main tool they use is public shaming, cold language, selective enforcement of the rules, and the best one of all is that media gaslighting. And all of this works together to make success feel dangerous for Black women. You know, I'm struck by the conversations that young lady had to, expose that people were threatening her, following her home, sending nasty naked pictures, AI driven pictures to her grandparents, and all this kind of buffoonery that's really outrageous, for anybody to do to another person. And people feel like people, out here feel empowered to be brutal, cold, and sadistic in a way, and definitely the coded language of always calling her name and dehumanizing her and trying to take her looks and say she looked like a sloth or some kind of animal and stuff like that. But these are tactics they've been using these tactics, from the plantation on. So it's just part of a playbook.
She keeps showing up cuter and cuter every day. Don't she? Every time they call her a sloth, she taking another picture. Cheese, see me? Cheese, see me? I got my fur coat on. See me? See me? I'm buying a house. See me? I'm at the Met Gala. See me? I'm at Unrivaled. See me? I'm the defensive player of the year. See me? I'm on my way back to the WNBA and I'm pumping fear. Don't act like they not scared that she coming. They seen the growth that she had in the Unrivaled. They know that she been working. They saw how she came in. They know her motor don't stop. That's part of the reason why they hating on her so much. Because she's pressured. That's why. Because she's pressured. She pressure on everybody.
She's shifting the culture.
She pressure on everybody. And she ain't letting you have a narrative. Every time you go to try to say something, she push the button and tell you first. Right on her own platform. She ain't letting you push no narrative on her no more. Ha, guess what? It's me. Guess what I said? Can you hear me? Here we go. Check it out. Here we go. Check it out. So it's time out. It's time out on all the BS narratives around that. Douglas Harris, you can find someplace else to go. There's no reason to be in here talking about Caitlin Clark is the GOAT. You have to have won something to be the GOAT. Miss me with that. Nobody is even in here talking about who's the GOAT. Caitlin has a wonderful chance of having a great career like everybody else. Give her some chance. Give her some time to develop. Give her some time to go win. Period. Queen Barbie is changing the game. Success override hate every time. Shifting the culture. That's what we talking about. Shifting the culture. And we got to push back on these narratives. Let's zoom out for a second. Why does Angel Reese's story matter beyond sports, Lil?
It matters beyond sports because her influence can filter into other areas. When you think about Angel Reese, you start thinking about the young lady that's doing her thing in politics, congresswoman that's making a lot of noise in politics and standing out. In business, Black women are getting shine. In almost every industry and area. When they see one young lady pulling out all the stops and making that kind of success, that's something that a young lady coming up can say, oh yeah, I could do that. I can move this way, I can move that way. This is the way I can work around the system. You know, when I get pushed back, I'm gonna handle it like Reese handled it. You know, that, and the other is like I mean, blueprint is the word that basically comes to mind. But it's just important because Black women are the culture, and they're pushing us out of one era into an era of success, and that's gonna just bring about a lot of resistance, you know. So
Let's talk real quick about social media and how it magnifies. Like social media, once it was a tool for liberation. Now it often feel like a trap, though, right? Like it could be, it could quickly turn into some quicksand on you. How has it intensified the attacks on Angel Reese?
well, the problem is it gives everyone a megaphone, and those with the loudest, most hateful voices get the most reach. You know, it don't take but a clip, a quote, taken out of content, and suddenly she's trending for all the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Before you had social media, you had to have some credibility, to talk about any subject. Now you got, people that can outright come out here, tell lies, fabricate stuff, uh, haven't done any research on anything, and there you have a platform, and all you got to get is a bunch of non-critical thinking uh, people to to go with you, and next thing you know, you're going viral. I mean, I done seen so many lies on YouTube. I mean, whole video just outright. She's been put out the NBA, WNBA, stuff like that. She was doping, or she was using steroids. I mean, just all kind of nonsense.
Oh man,
because you don't have any filters, as far as these platforms. They just let you roll, and then if it's something that catches on and can help that algorithm, they all for it. And that's what winds up happening. Uh, and that becomes a trap for you. In one sense, like just like a Trojan horse. You thinking, oh, I'm gonna get on social media and build me a following, and then they jump on social media and build a following that's against you. It's like it's really just a battle, to own other people's mind. Your public, how the public perceives you. And that's why you have to, and they have an army of people out there trying to choke her off. And that's one reason why the digital space has become a battleground. Tanks
they
on
got
one side, tanks on the other side.
They got bots working when we sleep.
Mm-hmm.
The bots is at work when we sleep. Like they got strategic targeted bot attacks. Just on her name, on her likeness. I'm over here hitting the report button. They should not be allowed to create this. Oh man, I wake up to crazy stuff. I wake up to Reese left the country because of backlash from Caitlin Clark. Just the stuff that I see is like, man, you don't even have to fact check no more. You can just put it out there. You can just put it out there. People,
and they put it on everybody's
quick.
timeline. Anything negative about her, if they got 10 million people on YouTube, they're gonna make sure everybody feed gets this note. And then that's gonna magnify it, and 10 million becomes 30 million, and 60 million. I mean, it's just, this is being deliberately done. You don't, like, if you was talking
allegedly
about
exactly, allegedly,
I mean,
they put that and like that, make it okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you took a young Jewish woman, for example, and you even dared try to put something out there, they'd be erasing your channel in a New York minute. But black women, they just allow black women to be abused. It's accepted. It's perpetuated. Because as Malcolm X said, black women are not respected in this society. And as a young black woman, she has been browbeaten, to the point where you have to think about the impact on her mental health. You know, it's just it's just different for women like her, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because of the way society already has you framed. It's too much, too loud, you're too confident, you're too unapologetic, because they still want that bow, yesum, you know, uh, uh, to come from you. No matter how great you are, they want you to be, quiet about it. Crazy.
Absolutely. And before we get out of here, one of the things that I definitely wanted to ask about, perception and reality, right? Perception and reality plays a big role, especially in this social media era, right? And I wanted to talk about whether or not uh, is Angel Reese really a threat, or is she more of a scapegoat, right? Like, what is the actual real issue here? Is she actually a threat that people need to be worried about, or is she just a convenient target? Uh, because they got her out here like she really a problem. Like, she is blowing up the spot out here. Like, Angel is, like, she is public enemy number one. And but when you step away from all of the headlines and the hot takes, and really, like, get into who she really is, I don't I can't find the threat. What are your thoughts? Political Lil?
You know what? It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Uh, she's a threat in terms of her influence and
Okay.
her ability to get things done without the usual middleman control. Uh, but then she's a convenient scapegoat because in this society they always need a scapegoat. Now,
Mhm.
the wealth class moved the jobs in the 1970s over to China. Okay, they destroyed a lot of towns in the process. A lot of people lost their manufacturing job. But they'll tell you the Mexicans are taking your job. We need to get them out of here. And you looking like, you know, the Mexicans, you're not going to get out there in no 100-degree hot weather and pick up not one head of lettuce. And you're not. That's the jobs they're doing. But in order,
Mhm.
this is a trick that they use to convince you that it's always somebody else's fault. Whatever your problems are, the fact that you're not wealthy, the fact that you're not in an employer class, that's always somebody else's fault. You know,
Mhm.
this is scapegoating has been used throughout history, and it's just a tool that they use to indoctrinate people to believe in that nothing you do is your responsibility. On one hand, they'll tell you it's your responsibility, the individualism. It's your
Absolutely.
responsibility, individually, you know. And on the other hand, well, if you had a down day, if your life didn't turn out the way it is, then it's somebody else's fault. You know, Angel Reese is not stopping one person from being successful.
Mm-mm.
The need to
Mm-mm.
escape, and she's definitely not stopping no white woman from being successful. You know, but they
It,
still
it
want to.
it's not, but it's feeling like it's not just racial. It's economic too, right? Like,
Oh, the economics play a
what
big
does
role.
what does Angel's success in NIL and endorsements and branding say? Um, for this time and her level of success and where we are.
Well, it first kills the myth of marketability.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, you're not marketable.
Mm-hmm.
If you too hood, you're not marketable to the mainstream. This, that, and the other. She's debunking all of that. She's had
Every
successful
day.
successful deals. Cereal. She McDonald in it. She all kind of beauty companies. Even the Met Gala. I know that set some people head on fire, but
Mm-hmm.
because you at the top of the food chain when you fooling with the Met Gala. But it's black women are winning. They winning loudly. You look at Coco, 25 million. These, that's not small change, in endorsement deals.
No.
So this feels more like it's just a cultural war, and because black women are winning, and because it's loud, you know, some of these, and it's uncontrolled. There's no mechanism really controlling what Angel does. And, and another thing, she gets these deals done. You're not all up in her video, so you can't get to the person to try to stop the deal.
Mm-hmm.
The way she's moving, it's allowing other, believe me, there's not a woman in the WNBA that's not looking at how she moves and moving like her.
It ain't even just in the WNBA. It's sports,
Right.
period. It's sports,
Yeah.
period. But it sounds like they want black talent without black autonomy.
Oh,
And that's a
absolutely.
problem. That's a problem.
That's the control, the psychology of control. They do not want labor getting what they're worth. Not even on the job. That's why we don't have democracy at work. They want they want to be able to extract. The key thing is they extract your labor, and then they pay you for your time, but they don't pay you for the worth of building that business. And that's if this country is going to survive, and I don't know that it will survive another 5 years as constructed, they gonna have to make some changes, or they're gonna find themselves on the ash heap of history. Because the labor force is waking up, understanding how they're creating wealth, and they want to be a part of the wealth equation and not a part of the extraction side of the fence.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's a hot. Political Lil dropping a lot of hot takes. People are salty that Angel is a loud, spicy baller that gets attention for just breathing. They're mad that young black women are out here thriving, or just on just them and their talent. And then I see somebody else say that they was mad she got a McDonald's burger. Now she's making the black kids unhealthy. Just it's all Angel fault. What? Oh God, y'all, come on now, come on, y'all, for real.
We done had health disparities
we got to
in this
stop this
country
madness
forever.
now. We
Yeah,
got to
that's
stop
just
this
crazy.
madness. Come on. We got to continue this. We're gonna continue this conversation. We at time for today, but we will continue this conversation around Angel and other disruptors. No, I don't know that Leia's picked a school yet. Markeisha Watson. She's black, young, and successful, and that's a threat because they can't push Cece because she's not likable. Her Nike shoes yet to come out, etc. They got to find a way. They got to find somewhere to find a balance. I'll be losing my mind around these narratives around black women. Yeah, you know, every time they try to water down her greatness, we got to double down on the truth. We can't let them rewrite the legacy of this young black woman who has inspired a generation already. Don't let the noise fool y'all. They're not mad at her because she's loud. They mad because she's loud and successful, and that's a threat to the system, y'all. We got to push back on that. We got to make sure that we push back on that. Thank y'all for tuning in today. And for being part of this critical conversation. Together we can make a difference. We are back with another episode of PoliSports Tea at 2 on Tuesday. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Share your insights with us on social media. Leave a comment, send us some feedback. If you enjoyed today's discussion, y'all do me a favor. Put me and Political Lil, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Share this episode with your friends, family, and community. Let's keep this conversation going on social media. And before we sign off, y'all remember representation matters. Stay tuned for more Cess Talk Sports, BY's PoliSports podcast episodes. We are going to look at the backlash, Dawn Staley under fire. And last but not least, remember sports are never just about the game. It's about the stories we tell and the change we create. It's up to everyone within the sound of my voice to be a change agent. Until next time, y'all, stay wise, stay engaged. Until next time, stay tuned. Talk soon, y'all.